In the early morning hours of June 28, 1969, a riot broke out in front of the Stonewall Inn in New York City. The violent protests became known as the Stonewall Riots. The Stonewall Riots were a watershed movement in the gay rights movement, sparking activism and awareness across the United States. In the 1950s and 60s, homosexuality was still considered sodomy and illegal in 49 states. The punishment varied greatly by state, ranging from heavy fines to imprisonment. In society, members of the gay community were often subject to violence, harassment, and discrimination. In New York City, gay bars were havens for people with diverse sexual orientations and gender identities, places where they could avoid harassment and violence. The Stonewall Inn served as a popular refuge. The police regularly raided the Stonewall Inn and other gay bars, charging them with solicitation of homosexual relations. Trans and other gender nonconforming people were also targeted, subjected to violence, and arrested if they weren't wearing what the police deemed as gender-appropriate clothing.
This oppression and mistreatment came to a head in the early morning hours of June 28, 1969. 9 police officers entered the Stonewall Inn in a raid. The patrons were fed up. Marsha P. Johnson, a black trans woman and LGBTQ activist, was a key figure in sparking the riots. As the police roughly tried to arrest bartenders and customers, many resisted. Outside the bar, people in the hundreds began rioting and continued until July 1st. This large-scale defiance made a massive impact on society forever. The Stonewall Riots were the beginning of the modern gay liberation movement, which also brought attention to others marginalized for their sexual or gender orientation. The riots sparked the formation of the Gay Liberation Front, the first group to publicly advocate for equal gay rights, and on the one-year anniversary of the riots, they also organized the first Gay Pride Parade. The Stonewall Riots marked a pivotal point in history. No longer would people quietly endure the stigma associated with their sexual and gender orientations. The riots became protests, the protests became a movement, the movement ultimately became an integral part to achieving equality for all. Through the Stonewall Riots, the gay rights movement gained mainstream visibility and a momentum that continues to this day.
On June 23, 2015, the Stonewall Inn was the first landmark in New York City to be recognized by the New York City Landmark Preservation Commission on the basis of its status in LGBT history. And on June 24, 2016, President Obama made the Stonewall Inn and the area outside where the riots broke out a national monument. The Stonewall National Monument was named the first U.S. national monument dedicated to the LGBTQ rights movement.
The Stonewall Inn is now a gay bar and recreational tavern in the Greenwich Village neighborhood of Lower Manhattan, New York City. Regaining popularity and continuing to pay homage to its historical significance, the Stonewall Inn hosts a variety of local music artists, drag shows, trivia nights, cabaret, karaoke, and private parties. In 2017, plans were advanced by the state of New York to host the largest international LGBT Pride celebration in 2019, known as Stonewall 50 World Pride, to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Riots. The World Pride event is open to all. Additional commemorative arts, cultural, and educational programming to mark the 50th anniversary of the rebellion at the Stonewall Inn will be taking place throughout the city and the world. It is believed that 2019 will be the largest international LGBT Pride celebration held in history.